The boy came home from school and saw the mother and daughter huddled in the corner. He understood that his father was sexually exploited again, and the little white shoes protected by his mother's hands were particularly conspicuous, while the other was pillowed under the head by his alcoholic father, and the boy cautiously picked up the little white shoes. But he still woke up his father, and the father was instantly furious, and the boy was punched and kicked, and it was not difficult to see from the old wounds on the boy's body that this was not the first time that his father had committed violence. Even so, the father still did not beat. He pulled the boy into the house and carried out a more brutal beating. After a while, the father's beating and scolding stopped abruptly, but there was a sound of resistance. It turned out that the boy was no longer patient. He picked up the pillow and covered his father alive. The moon was dark and the wind was high. He buried the body on the nearby hillside. He stayed awake all night, for fear that the police would come to the door. But as time passed, not only did nothing happen, on the contrary, without the existence of his father in the family, life became extremely stable. But this experience completely changed the boy's cognition, and in the next few decades, he became the murderer of serial murders. But he only killed the most vicious people, from countless drunkards who did not learn to animals, to women who abused animals, to the owner of a fishing shop who was abusive. As long as he considered the damned person, he had no intention of escaping his clutches. His name was Lao Pu. All the people he hunted were buried in a bamboo forest. Until this day, Lao Pu killed a woman just when he buried the woman's body and was about to go home. There was a car accident on the road. His head was seriously traumatized, and even caused a blurred memory, looking at his young daughter to grieve for himself. At this moment, he completely understood the meaning of life. From then on, Lao Pu washed his hands and decided to spend the rest of his life well. Since the memory was blurred, Lao Park was afraid that he would forget everything, so he began to write a diary every day, and also recorded the process of killing himself in the computer. As time goes by, as soon as her daughter Yunhee grows up, she thought she could enjoy her old age in peace. But she didn't think that a news broke the bottleneck of the moment. The police found 3 corpses in the pond in the suburbs, and the murder method was exactly the same as that of Lao Pu back then. He wondered if it was what he did, but he couldn't think of it. No way, he could only turn out the small white shoes that were used to kill people. Fortunately, the soles were clean and clean. It seemed that he didn't have a heart. This day, Lao Park drove home. He wanted to take a tape recorder to record what happened today, but he accidentally collided with the car in front of him. He hurriedly got out of the car to check. Inadvertently found that there was a bag in the trunk of the car in front of him, and continued to ooze blood. Seeing that the owner of the other car did not get out of the car for a long time, he decisively took out a handkerchief, stained some blood in the car, quickly hid it in his pocket, turned his head. The driver just got out of the car. He calmly said that the bag was just a dead thing, and said that it was because of the fog that caused the rear end collision, and he did not need to make any compensation. Lao Pu. So he didn't say a word, found a public phone booth, and reported to the police. But the next day, the police found the owner. The owner turned out to be a policeman named Xiao Kui, who was easygoing at the police station on weekdays, and no one believed that he would be a murderer. And then Xiao Kui called Lao Pu and told him as a police officer that the forensic doctor had checked the blood in the trunk and confirmed that it was deer blood. But the man's sixth sense told him that the police could not count on it now, and now he could only rely on himself. So he turned back to the accident site. From a murderer's point of view, the only ideal place is a pond.